Here are my top 10 changes that I'd like to make to Destiny.
Some of these changes are outrageous and unnecessary. This list is purely my own selfish and unique desires. It in no way, shape or form represents what's best for the game itself or the community as a whole. If you wanted a well thought out professional video, you came to the wrong place and also the wrong channel. Rip the dream.
Number 10. Starting with the least important, but still important enough for me to mention thing on the list, which is being able to see which calcified fragments I've obtained on each character. But Jez, I hear you saying, you can see how many fragments per character if you just look on the Dreadnought map. You're right, but you can't see which specific fragments you do have and which you don't. Have I killed this guy yet? Did I go to this place yet? Do I need to go back to the Court of Oryx for this character? Let's just say I still don't have the Touch of Malice because I don't know what effing fragments I still need on my main character. DestinyGhostHunter.net doesn't work either because if you still need a fragment on your main character, but you've picked it up on, let's say, a secondary character accidentally, the website simply shows that you've got it somewhere. And it's just like, lol, sorry bro, can't tell you exactly where you've got it. Again, it's just a waste of time, doesn't help me at all, and I'm just triggered thinking about it. Number 9. Destiny is a breathtaking game space. In my previous video, top 10 Cosmodrome facts, which by the way, if you haven't seen, I'd highly recommend you watch. There's some super interesting stuff in there. For example, did you know the Baikonur Cosmodrome is a real place in Kazakhstan? And in Destiny, it's really similar. Hashtag shameless plug. Anyway, while making that video, I was trying to take HUD-less screenshots of the beautiful world that we have, but it's really difficult. So here's how I did it. When you exit the character menu, there's a few frames where the HUD is missing. So if you time it perfectly, you can take a screenshot without the HUD, but then you've still got the friggin' weapon on the screen as well. So I had to switch weapons without moving the camera at all, and then take another screenshot the moment that the weapon is off screen. And then go to Photoshop and then try and combine those two images perfectly to make it both HUD-less and weaponless. So, sweet Lord Bungie, let me show off how good the game looks, and just let me turn off the HUD whenever. I'd also love to be able to just like resize the HUD a little bit as well if I wanted to, maybe just make it a little bit smaller, as well as turning down the opacity a little bit as well, maybe just make it a little bit more transparent. But I'm just a HUD freak, so that's why this is number 9. Number 8. So it's kind of hilarious that the Trials and Raid gear comes with the option to carry more ammo for sidearms. And yet there's no unique sidearms for either of those activities. This honestly, I don't want to be too negative about it, but this just feels very lazy to me. And it makes me think that Bungie just doesn't take sidearms seriously at all as a weapon class, considering every other weapon type is included. I don't know whether this is because the usage was so low on sidearms at the time. Cough, Vestian Dynasty, you're bad. Maybe just Bungie didn't think anyone would care. That could be it. I don't know. But as someone who loves to use sidearms more than any other secondary, I'm extremely disappointed by this. Bungie, please. Number 7. So I'm always looking to take my game to the next level in the Crucible. And one of the best ways to do that, honestly, is by watching people who are better than you play. So here's my idea. I'd love to be able to scroll down my friends list, and let's say I can just see that KJ Hovey is playing PvP at the time. You know who he is, I'm not even gonna bother to explain that. So let's just say I could click his name and then just seamlessly join his game as a spectator. And then I could just watch him play in the first person for as long as he's playing. So I think this would just open up a whole avenue for the esports scene of Destiny as well. Because you could get great casters like Mtashed who are just hilarious and have great game sense. They could start doing shoutcasts, which I think would be hugely entertaining, and they would generate a lot of positive views for Destiny, especially on Twitch. So yeah, that's just the broad strokes of it. A PvP spectator mode would be great. Number 6. Don't get me wrong, I love the unique sniping mechanics in Destiny. I absolutely love them. And the fact that you can customize your sniper scope and the perks is what makes it feel like a unique part of this game's experience. Just maximum customization. I'm even okay with some snipers having higher impact than others. But the fact that some snipers have higher aim assist, and then some scopes also have higher aim assist than others, short gaze anyone, is very frustrating to me. It makes me feel pigeonholed into using only a limited few snipers and or scopes, unless I want to purposefully put myself at a disadvantage. And that's not just my opinion as well. Think about this. When was the last time you were killed by a sniper other than the 1,000-yard stare in Trials? It's very uncommon. For the majority of the community to all be using the exact same gun in a game that supposedly encourages variety, I just feel like it's a huge letdown and a massive oversight from Bungie, and I just don't think it should be a thing. Number 5. Strikes are awesome, and with the Taken King came even more exciting, fast-paced strikes with tons more variety in each run as well. The only problem now is that they were so excited for us to try the handful of new strikes, they've left out all the old ones, which are still great in their own right. Not to mention, I think they add some much needed variety to the strike playlist as well. Remember Sepix Prime, or Fogoth on the Summoning Pits, or the Nexus strike? I don't think they even need to be like re-Takenified like the current strikes are. Just bring them back for some variety instead of letting them go by the wayside as forgotten, out-of-date content. It just seems like a huge waste to leave them behind when they're still quite decent, honestly, I feel. Number 4. The Vault of Glass and Crota's End. Two of my most memorable experiences in gaming, not to mention Destiny. So why not add a Year 2 difficulty option with Year 2 light level gear? Obviously, the enemy's level and difficulty would need to be adjusted for the new power levels, so Guardians can't just steamroll through. But I'd love to have a full VOG armor set again. And even if they just remove the elements off the primary weapons so they wouldn't become overpowered, because Bungie's made it clear that they want to move away from elemental primaries, because it pigeonholes you into using those specific weapons at all times. So just take the elements off and I think the weapons would be right in line with everything else, honestly. Mostly I just miss how fun it was to adventure through the vault with my friends and rage at Crota for insta-killing me with his sword. So Bungie, please make the Year 1 raids relevant again. Number 3. I could talk for a long time about weapon balance in the current state of the game. But here, I'm just going to state the changes that I'd like to make right now. Firstly, legendary hand cannons are just crappy. No one uses them anymore in either PvE or PvP, and for good reason. They just don't compete with the other legendary primaries at all. I'd like to see them brought back in line with how they were pre-Taken King patch, before the Great Hand Cannon blanket nerf was in effect, which was a hilarious failure anyway, because it was mostly just to bring the exotic hand cannons of the time in line. No one was complaining about the legendary hand cannons, and they were like, don't worry about it, we'll just smash them all right into the ground and it'll be fine. What do you guys reckon? You guys on board with that? We'll just nerf them into the ground? Alright, cool, I'll just go ahead and do that. Which brings me to my next change I'd like to see, because lo and behold, what primary is everyone using again right now? The last word. All Bungie had to do was just not bring back the last word and or thought. That's all they had to do. Just don't bring him back. And what have they done? Some of you aren't going to want to hear this, but I just want to see the last word nerfed into the ground. The last word specifically, not the legendary hand cannons, because I think it had far too long in the spotlight in Year 1, and it's time to move on. Next up, I'd like to see a slight buff to auto rifles just across the board. Don't get me wrong, there's a select few that are strong right now, like the Doctrine of Passing, but I'd like them to make a little more of a return with just a slight buff overall. And finally, fusion rifles have been nerfed so many times by Bungie, it's kind of hilarious. At this point, really a buff in any capacity in both PvE and PvP would just be greatly appreciated. I think shotguns and sidearms are more effective at the fusion rifle's intended range than fusion rifles themselves. Damn it, Bungie! Number 2. There are so many great maps in PvP. I'm a huge fan of the Crucible, but for some reason I only seem to get the same 2 maps on rotation on any given day. Most notably, I only seem to get the Cathedral and Twilight Gap. Is that what it's called, the Cathedral? The new one that's just with the crazy long hallways and takes 30 seconds to even find anyone once you spawn in? Anyway, there's a simple solution to this problem, I feel, which is map voting. Now, to prevent the Dust 2 only at all times, ever, problem that I think that Counter-Strike has. Not hating on Counter-Strike, but I do feel like Dust 2 is really the only map anyone plays if you're just kind of randomly matchmaking. Here's what we do. Just randomly choose 3 maps in orbit, 3 little icons pop up saying, choose from these 3 maps, and then everyone in orbit just votes, and we just go straight into one of those 3. Boom, done, simple, elegant, adds variety, and yet still allows you to avoid going into those hated maps. Number 1. And finally, the most important change I'd like to make to Destiny right now is adding private matches. That's it, I just still can't believe that's not a thing. Just let my fire team of 6 go into a rumble match or a skirmish match and just muck around and have the best time. Obviously they need to turn rewards off so there's no loot. Let us just go in and just, turn on trip mines only, where no one spawns with a weapon except 2 trip mines at any time, and everyone's just going ham with trip mines and it's just hilarious. Or, let us turn on low gravity melee only. on, you know, the anomaly. You know, just maximum shenanigans kind of stuff. And that in turn would finally allow for LAN events with 0 ping for those esport tournaments to take place, and Destiny could almost finally start to be taken a little bit more seriously as an actual esport. You know what, and I'm all for it. I want to see the community grow, especially in that way. So private matches, come on. So there it is, the 10 changes I'd like to make, and like I said, that's just me. There's obviously some more important changes, but these are the things I care about most. I'm the Jez. God bless you sexy minks. You look great. Let's not make it weird, you look great. Let's leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Alright, if you made it this far, you should totally go and watch my top 10 facts video about Destiny's Cosmodrome. You know you want to. In fact, if you go and watch it now and you don't enjoy it, I will give you